Okay, hello, good evening, welcome to the new Art Eco Framework. It's Thursday, so that means we're going to talk about this, which is basically, how to create a business if you're a creative, like a musician, filmmaker, game developer, that kind of thing. So I'm going to tend to talk about, musical thing, because that's kind of my bag. But just bear in mind that everything I say applies pretty equally to any other creative, what should we call it, persuasion, poetry, game development, filmmaking, animation. Being a chef, strangely, I know that one surprises people, and book authors and coaches and anything like that. You can apply all the kind of same thing that I'm talking about to any of those kind of niches. So let me just get this into view. There we go. And that way. And there we are. So you see we've got a fancy new logo this week. Let's make it so it actually kind of fits, because that'd be good. I think that one's all right. Yeah, it was. Okay. Right, so this is actually past week 7, but anyway. So here we go. So this week is about starting how we start to create raving fans. Okay, we're not going to finish it tonight. This is stage 1 in creating raving fans, because it's moderately complicated. Anyway, last week we spoke about basically the whole process behind this is basically just 2 things. It's working the crowd, which is something we've always done as performers and musicians and creatives, and collaboration, which is getting them to join in with what we're doing. And we came up with remember, I'm doing phase 2. I've skipped phase 1 because I'm arrogant and I want the money. So I've skipped phase 1, which is the nicely thing. If you want to go nicely, you need to do phase 1, which is in the paid course. I'm jumping straight to phase 2, which is basically a 16-week plan, as you can see here. These are the kind of tasks we have to do, and this is how they spread out over the weeks. You can see it fits out very nicely, really, over the 16 weeks. And despite the fact it may look scary, there's only really 4 things to do, really, and the rest is just kind of doing them again in different ways. So last week we spoke about how can we actually create this experience, quote unquote, and not just be another website and everything. And I went into huge depth about that, so I'm not going to do that again. Go to the paid vault and buy the thing. So this week, as I say, creating raving fans. So this isn't going to surprise you. If you've been following along, this isn't going to surprise you, because many of the things, if not all of the things I'm going to say, we've basically covered before. But this is going to be more about how we physically, specifically implement them. But already know the concepts if you've been following along in the other 8-9 weeks, wherever it's been now. So back on week 1 or 2, basically we said the way that we basically create fans is familiarity. If you're familiar with somebody, you see them again and again and again. Eventually, you get to know them and you become friends, or at least you become so used to them that you'd miss them if they weren't there. How do we get familiarity? Well, we just need basically. Should have had another square. Let's pick that one. There we go. Basically, you just need to. I had a word for it then, and I've forgotten the word. Basically repeat exposure, and to mix it up in many forms. So it could be an article at one time, it could be a meme, it could be a song snippet, it could be a video, it could be a bit of cover art, it could be a couple of shots from the video that you're making. Anything. You can mix and match it up in different formats. So again, it could be text, video, pictures, audio, or even an interactive game or a website, or anything. But the bottom line is that the more often they see you, the more familiar they'll get with you, and the bigger kind of fan that they will be. Empathy. Now, we've spoken about this, although I may not have used that exact word before, but now I'm using it today. But you know that we've gone over this time and time again, because basically another word for empathy is emotion. So you're basically sharing an emotion. That's kind of what empathy means. You know what they're going through, and we've said categorically time and time again that what we're actually selling is emotion. Our music is a story about something that that you feel along the journey. So it's either about the journey or how you're feeling, or both. But it's that journey and that emotion that you're feeling is emotion. So that's what we're really selling. So when you have empathy with people, then you understand their emotions. So we kind of win this one down, but we can actually afford to state it more explicitly. We don't need to hide behind the song. We can actually come out and say that we like, that we share the emotion. Okay. The other one, indoctrination. How do I describe this? It's a bit complicated. I mean, it's not just that, that all fans, create the tribe, which is true. It's also about, the indoctrination is really also about, how do we put this? It's about them, not claiming, not stating, declaring. I'll say declaring. About them declaring, this emotion again, basically, and admitting that they're part of it. So it's not just being in the same room as everybody. It's about actually kind of more proactively saying how, why, and what it means to you. Which again, is coming from in our case, particularly from the collaboration. Which as I said to you, we've only really got two things to do. One is working the crowd, and the second one is getting them to collaborate with us. Okay, so that's kind of that, and then we'll go into more detail about these at various times. But the last one, for the minute, is something a bit bigger than what we will. Anyway, it's the adventure. Now, we actually spoke about adventure in the first 3 weeks, and we haven't really mentioned it since. But there has to be, basically a feeling of growth, or that there's a journey, or that there's more to come, which could just literally just be mystery and intrigue and that kind of stuff. But there always has to be something on the horizon. Okay, because that's how we captivate people and get them to do it. So it's not that we have a single slam dunk song and our job's over. We have to keep the the pressure and the momentum going by telling them that there's more, even better stuff to come. And there will be. Oh, I see. I did that for the... Oh, I see. No, that's right. Sorry, it's a sort of technical thing there. So these are our, our basically our 4 building blocks, our pillars. I'll just put these in the middle because it's easier to line them up then. That we can do, and there's probably more, but these are the ones that spring to my mind, right now. So the question is now, how do we actually, do this? Because we've got a 16-week plan, and we know the 4 things that we have to build, the 4 songs that we need to make this real. And we know one way that we can present this to make it an experience rather than a website, which I went into vast depth last week. How do we physically, specifically do this? To create raving fans. So, I'm brainstorming this, which is why I'm hesitating. So, basically, the short answer is going to sound very stupid, actually, I think. But the short answer is that we have to tell them. And I know that that sounds stupid, but if we just release one song and as a sort of fait to complete and say that's it, chaps, then that's all they can really take away from that. It's all they can judge, and they don't know exactly what else could happen. They might be hoping other things will happen, and they might be expecting other things will happen, but then that's all in their heads, in their imagination. And their imagination may not be, as exciting as your imagination, or feeding their imagination to places where they may not have thought they were going. So basically, we need to tell them. So to tell them, we kind of need basically a story, and we need to outline it. And basically tease them. I don't really like using that word, but but tease them. What's on the horizon. As we've said, we're selling emotion. So it's not just that we're going to release another song. Okay, do you understand? You with me there? It's not just that we're going to release another song. That's the kind of boring default kind of thing. That we would say. We actually want to do more than that to create the raving fans, because we need to lead them and make them expect and want and almost crave for the next thing. So the way the common ground, until the songs the other three songs exist and they've heard them in their entirety, the only way that we can really make them crave it is to explain. It's not really the why, but it's to explain the series of emotions, not motions, series of emotions that led you to this point in your life. Okay, now that's making it very personal. You're sharing, something about your life. So you're not just sharing your music anymore. You're sharing, your life, and that's another thing that people will appreciate, because that's another part of the tribe. Because you don't have a kind of faceless, autonomous tribe. Everybody's character in the tribe matters. Everybody has a function, and the tribe comes together to create something bigger than the sum of the parts. So there's this, and you can tell this story in a number of ways, but I think the key. What am I doing? There we go. I think what I'm really saying is that we have to have multiple formats. So I don't mean this literally necessarily, although you can. But if you were imagining you were going to make a documentary about your EP, okay, because it's 4 songs, it's kind of an EP. We could call it an album if you want, but it's kind of an EP. If you were making a documentary about it, all those things would be in it, and you know, there'd be interviews and quotes and you know, images of things at the time. Yeah, obviously there'd be, you know, the story in words. There'd be a story in pictures, you know, of how you were back then and how you felt and stuff. But you see, this isn't you know, a timeline documentary. So what is the, yeah, what is the sequence, you know, that brought you, you know, to this point? How on earth did I type that? Yeah. You know, the sequence that brought you, you know, to this point. Because it might be very quick. You know, you might have written the thing. I mean, you could have written it in a week, but you know, let's say you've written it over a month. You know, in a month, you're not going to be, you know, look radically different. You know, you might just about have grown a beard or something. You know, maybe you've changed your hairstyle a few times. Maybe, you know, you're wearing different clothes, but you know, nothing radically visually has happened. So what we're really looking to do here is to create metaphor images. Okay, and yeah, they could also be collages. You know, if you've got lots of little things and you don't, you know, you're not that arty, you could just group them together in a collage. But it's still creating a metaphor image. So a metaphor image is basically something, you know, it's something else that reflects on what you're actually talking about. So it's not necessarily the thing itself, although if you've got the thing itself, obviously that's another thing you can use. But if we're talking about emotions, then that's, you know, that's what we're talking about. So, you know, it could be, you know, taking photos in particular places, or with objects, or with people. Okay, and when I say objects, that could also include, so I can't even see that. Hang on, let me just let's bring that all up to start with. Let's bring that down. Sorry, I ran out of room here. Yeah, so when I say objects, oh hell, I forgot what I was going to say about objects now. Sorry, objects in the background. That's what I was going to say. Or you holding them. So, you know, it's a metaphor. You know, it's arty. I'm not going to go into, you know, into it particularly because, you know, it's your art. You need to decide what you want to do. I know what I'm going to do in my head, but my head's probably, you know, whacked. But you know, they're basically still metaphor images, and even if you come up with, you know, dry, boring stuff, they're still going to be interesting because they still reflect the process. But because we can use metaphor images, I think you can get very arty about this. You know, it could just be a picture of your face in multiple colours, and you just do the colours, and then maybe you put them together into a quadrant or a five-way one, whatever that's called, quintet or something. Or you know, and maybe, you know, you have a thought bubble that comes out with, you know, what was in your mind. But remember, you know, we've got at least four songs to, you know, to get out there, and ultimately, you know, you might do one for each of these, or you might have a master one which shows all four. And you know, and maybe, you know, there's actually five. I don't want to call them boxes, but yeah, but 5 boxes, because box 5 is actually the, you know, the master concept, and you know, and visually maybe, you know, that's a picture of you. Okay, just, you know, you in a, you know, in a nice moody, glamour-looking shot, but basically just you. And then you've got these other 4 boxes around it, or however many you want. If you can get, you know, more boxes around it, then that's even better because it's going to make it more. Yeah, more good. More good? That's not even English. Anyway. And then ultimately, you know, this could be so good that we could actually make, you know, the coffee table storybook out of it. Okay, because, you know, if we've got, you know, 5 images, it'd be fairly easy to get, you know, 32 pages of stuff out of it. Because there's also the how it was created and all that backlog, like back what's the word I'm looking for? Backstage kind of stuff. Of how it was created, and that's always fascinating. And again, that's another depth into the the whole story really of how it actually came about. And who was involved and why which decisions were made, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's that, and then these are these can all be made into different formats. They could be videos. We can make static shots. We can do component shots where we're showing elements that make up the big thing. Okay, anything you've done in the process to change them, and they can be made into as I say, let's put it up there. So it's like video, but they can be static images. They could be sounds. You could just speak through it like a podcast kind of thing. Which is just you on a microphone whilst you're showing the object. Maybe you're doing zoom and pan. I've forgotten the name of that bloke now, but anyway, there's a particular time of video where you can make anything look interesting by basically zooming in and panning in it at the same time. And if you have 2 or 3 images, then it can be super interesting. And these only need to be short little things, remember. These might just be they could be 20-second clips, 20-second things. But when they're all put together, it tells a whole whole kind of story. So there could be slideshows in it. Obviously you can make a PDF of anything at any time that's kind of written, and you can have animations, and you can just have plain art, and you can have interviews, either you being interviewed or interviewing other people, or the people who are close to it. There could be historic photos, but as I say, it might be done in a month, so I don't mean that historic, but it's still history, and then we just slow down history to make the month look feel like it was kind of a lifetime of experience. Okay, so I'm going to bring that down because it's getting too much to fit in the box now. So there's all these sort of things. I think you can understand how how we can do it, and the simplest way of describing that is to make a documentary. Okay, but now I'm going to give you, and we're going to give you, I'm going to give you the one big secret behind the documentary. Okay, this is the thing that's going to make it in marketing terms, rock, and that is you basically make the documentary, and that doesn't need to be super long. It might be 15 minutes long, in total. Okay, whatever, 10 minutes, whatever you want. Let's put 10. But the way to make this rock in terms of marketing is to release it in stages. Okay, so if you think of any good TV show, the thing that makes them captivating is that they're in weekly episodes or whatever time frame it is, and so you have to tune in next week for the next thing. And usually they as you know, they leave you on a cliffhanger, so you're waiting all week wondering what's going to happen. And we can do the same thing because we can tell them what's coming. Okay, we said that in the very beginning, and I know it sounded stupid, but now you kind of see how it works. Tell them and tell them what's coming. Okay, and that's the most important thing, because that's how we can get them to expect and desire and ache for what's coming next. You're hooking them, you're intriguing them, and they can't wait to see the next thing, but they have to wait to the next thing because it's coming in the next period, whatever your period is. It could be for TV shows it might be weekly. For your thing it might be daily. You might be doing a little intense release, or it might be certainly for me, in terms of the why didn't that change? Oh, because I'm on the wrong slide. In terms of the 16-week plan, I actually want to release my documentary, for want of a better word. It's not, as I said, not literally a documentary. It's only about probably a month in your life, not a lifetime. It's not historic in that way, but we're doing a slow motion time capsule or something like that. I don't know if that helps to explain it or not, but that's what we're doing. We're slowing this whole month down into slow motion thing. And releasing it through the 16 weeks, and so at the end, we've got a very special, thing. We really have got, the book of the film, of the, or it would be of the play, but in our case of the performance, and remember, this is basically a 16-week performance. Because we're doing it over 16 weeks, so and it literally is a picture storybook. So even if you've done videos, you can still take still screens of the video. Okay, and you can either just do one if it sums up what's going on, or you can even show that as like a film strip or whatever you want, and all the arty different ways you can do this. Will make it extra special. Now, it doesn't matter if you can't do this; you can outsource it. There'll be people on Fiverr who will do it. Basically, as it says, for a $5. You might need various gigs, but we're only talking about a $5. Even if you had 10, 20, 30 gigs, we're still only talking about $150. Okay, or you can go to an actual somewhere else, a different forum, and actually, get a designer to work on you, to work on all of the 16 bits of the story, rather than using, possibly 12 different Fiverr people to get the different range of stuff. Maybe you go to an actual artist who can do all 16 of the different bits, but and you still may need to do a combination, but however you do it, you can get a huge amount of visual artistic input from freelancers, basically. And that's it, really. There's always going to be people out there who will be willing to do this. Some will be willing to do it for free, some very cheap, and some will be very expensive, and you just need to decide what you want to do, what you can afford, and who fits you best. There's always going to be multiple options. So if one guy doesn't get it right, it doesn't matter. You can just go to the next guy. Because there'll be no shortage of talent out there. Okay, undoubtedly no shortage of talent out there. So it's just finding it. So maybe it's more of a hassle or struggle than you were hoping, but once you found your team effectively, people who can make you the art that you need, then then you're set up, and we're off. But anyway, either way, this is how we separate ourselves from being bog standard, people who just play their music and stick it on Spotify kind of music. Because they're not marketing the story, which is emotion, behind the songs, and they're not even starting out probably knowing that they have 4 songs. They might just do one hit wonder, and they haven't even thought what they would do next. We are, at the beginning of the 16-week plan, we are saying, I'm going to make a 4-song EP. I'm going to do it in 16 weeks. And just get on with it. Okay. I'm very prolific, so I have no problem, coming up with song ideas, on the fly. So I can literally do it in a day from nothing. If you're not, well, I don't know where to put that. If you're not like me, say that, and I consider myself very fortunate because I can do that, and I am very prolific, so I'm very grateful that I can do that. But if you're not as prolific as me, then you can at least get the 4 seed ideas down before you start the 16-week thing. But I mean, as a business, if we're going to sell 4 things, then we have to have 4 things to sell. There's no, we can't sugarcoat that or fudge around it. It's not worth going through this whole process for 1 song. Okay, we need to deliver, more value than that, because they can't just keep playing 1 song, forever. The 4 songs are going to give them enough variety that they can, really get a feel for it. And we're putting on this mini concert, which makes it an event and all this kind of stuff. And I'm definitely expecting them to, treasure these songs for a lifetime. So, I think that that works. What happens after the 16 weeks? Well, you could call it that for the year if you want, and just do this, once a year if that's what you want to do. Personally, this is what I want to do. So if I get this first 16 weeks to work with the 4 songs, then I have every intention of doing another 4 in the following 16 weeks. I have no problem, putting this much work into my music, because that's actually what I want to do. And it's only 4 songs in 16 weeks. It's not really that hard at all. And if you're, stuck for whatever, then you can always team up with other people and, form a mini band or form a mini songwriting team, or, just get external production done, or whatever you need to do, to get the product. But, we're trying to build, as I say, a 6+ figure business out of this. It's 4 songs to kick it off, and then it's up to you, how many more times you want to kind of rinse and repeat that and do more songs. But if you were doing a traditional old school album, then that would easily be 12 songs. So that's 4 sets of 4. It's spread out over the year. Obviously, you can take weeks off in between. But 12 songs is not 12 songs is not really, or 16. Well, it's 12 on an album, isn't it? Yeah, so 3 sets of 4. Sorry, I said that wrong. But I'm actually intending to do 4 sets of 4, so that's why I got confused. 12 songs is shouldn't be that hard. If you haven't got 12 songs in you, then you have to kind of look in the mirror and work out what's going on. And again, actually, there isn't any reason, thinking about it, why any of these couldn't be covers. Obviously, there's the usual legal reasons, but other than that, no particular reason why they couldn't be covers. Technically, you'd need to give 8% of your, I forget if it's turnover. Probably this must be turnover of your turnover to MCPS to give to whoever wrote the song. Because we are putting these into a mechanical format, i.e. they've been recorded. But that's 8%, and you keep the other 92%. So I don't think we can grumble about that. So they could be covers. Okay, so that's pretty important. Okay, but we're in it for the for the thing. But if somebody offered you £200,000 a year, would you write 12 songs? And I probably think the answer would be yes. I think you'd at least give it a damn good go. Obviously we have times when every song isn't our best song, but that's not usually the way that the artists receive it. They tend to grow to love those sort of songs over a period of time. So but we need to deliver the experience. That's what we're being paid $200,000 a year to do. So I don't think the quantity of songs is really an issue. And the huge advantage of this in other terms is that this is a publishing model. Okay, and we can get X dollars from each fan, but there's nothing to stop us getting more fans. Okay, and every new fan has never had this experience, so they can have, this experience. So if you haven't got more material, then you can just get more fans, because they've, the new fans have not heard or not experienced, experience one. And if fans, the old fans have to wait a little bit till you get the new stuff out, then that's okay. They've still got, what the music, your music for life, waiting for them, and they have had the experience and they've had their value. But we want to keep feeding them, ideally, with new stuff. And as I say, for 200 grand a year, I think you would pull your finger out and actually record 12 songs. So there we are. But as I say, we've always got the back option that if you haven't got more new material, then you can always get more new fans. And as I say, everything is then new to them. They're completely fresh to whatever's gone on. And you can replay this, in case you haven't worked that out, you can replay this 16-week sequence as many times as you want, to as many different people as you want. The point is that if they're different people, then they know nothing about this experience. So you can just replay them, automate them if you want to, this 16-week experience, because they haven't had it yet. Obviously, the people who've already seen it may not want it again, although they probably might, actually. But if they're members, they can kind of get it all the time. But the point is that the new people, this is totally fresh to them. This is a perpetual, publishing model, and you can just get more new people into the top of it. And as as it's fresh to them, you can rinse and repeat the whole sequence to these new people. Meantime, you can be writing the new material for the old fans. Okay. Anyway, you see how that works. So that's basically it. I think we'll stop there. So we'll talk more about the raving bit next week, I think. But you can I think you can kind of see, how we're heading to create these raving fans. We know the pillars that we can use, and we know the kind of plan that that we can do it in. And as I say, it all boils down to this key thing that I'll even put it in a new slide, I think, because it's so important. And basically, what are we selling? And as you can see from everything I've done here, it's basically emotions. So it doesn't matter if you haven't got more songs, you can portray the emotions in more ways, because there are loads of different formats, and there's loads of different aspects of what goes into creating the music, and they're all without wanting to sound commercial, they're all sellable. Okay. But what's sellable is the emotions. So when you realise that you're actually selling emotions and not songs, then it should become a lot clearer and a lot easier, because there are loads of ways of lots of different metaphors of how we can represent and sell and exchange these emotions. And if you ever get lost at any time, just remember the process, and that is that basically we're working the crowd. In other words, we're keeping them engaged and interacting with them, giving what they want and asking what they want, and all that sort of stuff. And then we're collaborating with them and making them part of the art itself. So there's a lot of stuff that could come back from them, which could go into it. I mean, again, in terms of this documentary and storybook, I'm going to put it in. I'll put it up here somewhere. Because we're collaborating with the fans, basically. Collaboration. Their UGC, which just stands for user generated content, can feed the documentary. So if they want to send in a quote or a picture or something that represents what the emotion you're talking about to them, they can send it in, and they give a little permission thing to let you reproduce it, and you can actually put that in the coffee table storybook, okay, which is pretty exciting. So, and then all the because that's all new to the other fans, that's more new fresh content for your other members, because they haven't lived that life, and then they get the empathy out of it because they're sharing these emotions with the person who shared their take on it, what it means to them, and then they do the same. So as I say, the fans are creating a lot of the content for you, and you just package it up into this coffee table book type thing, which you then as I say, slow release it. Okay, the most important thing to do is to release it drip feed, as what we tend to call it in training anyway. So you drip feed the content, because that keeps them on the edge, keeps them alert, keeps them wanting more. Okay, that's basically it. Yeah, so I'm all out now. So there we are. So I'll see you next Thursday for the next edition of this, and we'll go into a bit more detail how we can actually create the raving fans. But otherwise, I will see you next week for this one, or I'll see you tomorrow for SAS Friday if you're also into other elements of business. So talk to you then. Bye bye for now. Yeah, there we go. Talk to you then. Bye bye.